we talk about, oh, I'm not hitting my goals yet, not hitting my goals yet. This one's ahead of her goals. And so, yes. And so we are super grateful for her to share some knowledge on ways for you guys to stand out with sellers and take that listing. So enjoy.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. How many of you are brand new to real estate? Okay, good. How many of you have your first listing already? I know you have. How many? Let's see the hands. Okay, all right, good. Well, hopefully this is going to help you. Again, my name is Karin Thomas. I've been a realtor in Naples for the last 20 years. So I've seen everything from, the crash to everything. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't write very well. All right, so I'm going to speak most of it. Feel free to take any pictures, tell me to move if you want to do that. But I do both listings and buyers. So I'm going to give you some of the things that has worked for me, some of the things that didn't when I was first new. But so let's get started. If you have any questions, let me know. And there's a lot to get through in an hour, but I want to make sure that everybody is all set and have some good stuff. All right, so 5 steps in getting the listing as I see it. First of all, setting the appointment. None of the rest works if you don't have the appointment. Preparation, the seller interview, okay? That's what I call it, because when you're there on property, you want to get to know the seller's motivation and all that. We'll go through that. Pricing is key, and then get that listing signed. I go into every listing appointment knowing I'm walking out of there with it signed. And if not, it's usually because we can't agree on price or I'm just not their agent. Okay. All right. So setting the appointment. When you're talking to somebody, either on the phone, in person, all right, you want to try to get that appointment as soon as possible. I like to be in there the next day. Sometimes if they're not going to be in town for a week or so, it'll be a week. If it's going to be more than a few days or a week, I go ahead and send them a pre-listing package. This is your way to kind of get some of that stuff out of the way. Some people read it, some people don't. Some of the things that I put in a pre-listing package is like KW stats, my stats, my bio, references, a marketing plan. I do a marketing plan, what they're going to get by hiring me. I have a form that shows what makes me different from all the others. Now, in that also, I say, okay, I can't give everything out because this is in writing and I don't want it to go to someplace else, to somebody else. And I'll also send them like some brief comps just to kind of give them an idea. That is basically my listing package. Like I said, I think most people don't read it. Some people that are very analytical will, but at least they'll have that. I'll also put a copy of the listing agreement in there, just so they know what they're signing, so that when I walk out there, that listing's signed. Okay, so that's it for the listing appointment. Actually, there is one more thing. We have a fishing form that I'm going to share with you, and it shows the 3 things of pricing. If you price it and you're not getting any showings, what happens? We'll go over this a little later. But that kind of sets in their mind where they should be on pricing, being realistic on pricing. Okay, very simple. Get the appointment. Preparation. I go, and in my preparation, I probably go above and beyond, but I want to be ready for anything. A lot of times you don't know who, is your seller going to be analytical? Are they just going to be, I'm ready to sell, you're the person, what have you. First thing I do is go into the county records and I pull the deed. Okay. The deed is going to have, you're going to put the names of the persons on your paperwork, on your listing agreement from the deed. What's printed in Collier records, doesn't matter. It has to be on the deed. Okay.
What if it's a trust?
If it's a trust, put the trust name in there. Absolutely. And then if there are 2 trustees for that trust, the name should be, like Getz, whatever trust, and then both trustees need to sign it. Okay, good question. All right, the second thing I do Unlike this, so this is a card. This tells me when they bought it. It also tells me, who exactly, who exactly is on the deed, basically. So this is right out of Collier County records. And then you go, has anybody gone to Collier County records? Has everybody? Okay, so you pretty much, it's pretty user friendly. Lee County, not so much, but Collier County appraisal is. So then you go to the next tab, and this is going to give you some information, especially if you've never seen the house, just to kind of get you started. This is the second tab on the Collier County records. And what this shows is the year that it was built, the square footage. Does everybody understand the difference between area square footage and adjusted area? The area square footage is the area under air. The total area is like the garage, things that are not air conditioned. Okay, extra rooms. It's also going to show you if there was a swimming pool and a deck, any outbuildings, anything that is, that has been done to that property. So at least you're dealing with, okay, I've got a single family home with a pool, with a spa, all of that. Okay, and that's going to help you with that next step of going for comps. Okay, so that's all just the first step. Know the square footage of the home, know the date that it was built. You are the expert, so I can't stress enough that you want to be able to go in there knowing everything about their home. Yeah, you bought it in 2011. You put the pool in 2012. That right off the bat will impress them. You've done your research. You are the expert not only on my home, but I'm going to show you that I'm the expert in your community. Okay, big difference. Preparation, I think, preparation is key. All right, you want to have all of your comps. I go in there with comps kind of straightforward, and I have comps for every single person who is going to attend that meeting. You definitely want to have everybody on that deed or any signing authority to be in that meeting. So let's say you have husband and wife and you. When you do your comps, you want to have a copy for husband, wife, and yourself because you're going to review them. All right, and I kind of break it down. I'll do what's on the market in their community. If it's something like Golden Gate Estates, I kind of do it just in their general area. All right, kind of in their geo area, because that's your competition. So I do what's active, then I do what's pending and what's sold together. So two separate sets of comps. And then we sit down and go through it. And I kind of do it according, like if it's a 3-bedroom and a den, I'll do from 3-bedroom up to 4-bedroom, just to kind of squash it. If there aren't that many, then I might expand it a little bit. And that way I can kind of go on the fly. And then I also we'll go over, this is your competition in this community. This is what is actually moving in your community. This is what's pending. This is what's sold. I'll also sometimes take an iPad. Chances are they've looked at everything already. Take an iPad and we have to look at, oh, this one had total upgrades. This one did, and that's why it sold so low. I kind of review that in my research ahead of time. All right. Then we go over what's pending, what's sold. Then I put that aside. Then I'm going to go, what is their competition in your geographic area? Active only. Okay. This is what your competition is, not only in your community, but in your whole area. Then I'll go also a pending and a sold with that same geo area. So it's basically 4 sets of comps. All right. Now we all know that most sellers are going to think they have the best home ever. It is better than anybody. So it should be up here when it should be really down here. So where we go with that is a starting point. On MLS, everybody's familiar with MLS, I'm assuming. When you're doing your comps, you can also do a quick CMA, which is comparative market analysis. I do a quick CMA that looks like this, and it's just, we have actives, all of that. I just want to see the sold. That's going to give you an average price per square foot, because people want to know, oh, what's the price per square foot? It's very, very subjective. Okay, that is just a starting point, because you could have 1,900 square foot home here, 1,900 here, 1,900 here. This one's totally I mean, knocked out, gorgeous. This one's a little Mediterranean, and then this one needs some work. So that price per square foot is just a starting point, and then you add and subtract value from there. Okay, so all of this stuff, again, I'm gonna have 3 of these, husband, wife, and for myself, we're gonna go over it together. All right, then that's where we start going with the pricing. Has everyone seen this? If you haven't, I'll give you a copy. This is fantastic. We'll take it. Let me go back just for a second. So that's it for preparation. Okay, preparation. Any questions? Pretty straightforward. Know what's going on in the community. Try to find out if there are any special assessments. It's good to get a copy from the HOA or the property management of the condo docs. Read other listings. Now, other listings, you have to be careful because there's not always correct information in there, but see if there are any special assessments. And that way, again, you're going to know, okay, so I understand there's a special assessment. Have you paid it off? All of that kind of stuff. You're going in again, being that expert on that home, being one step ahead of the seller all the time. Okay. Any questions so far? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. What I do also in preparation is this is for the seller, all right? This side is gonna be blank. This side I have a copy of my photographer's rules. I've used my same photographer for 20 years. And he gave me a set of guidelines to give to sellers that is exquisite. I mean, it's great. What to do, remove rugs, all of that kind of stuff. I also have my seller's disclosure here, because this is what I'm going to leave with the seller. And this side is their homework. Okay. If I know ahead of time that they're going to do an inventory, or they're going to sell turnkey, I'll put the inventory in here as well. Okay, and that can just be taken right off the MLS. So this is what I prepare for the seller. I also have a copy of the listing agreement. I take the listing agreement already filled out with their names. I leave it, unless I know it's gonna be turnkey furnished. I kind of leave turnkey furnished until I get there because things may change. We may switch it to negotiable, but have it filled out with their information and with Keller Williams Realty, who is the broker. Okay. I don't fill in a price. If you auto-populate from MLS, it'll put their legal description, because that legal description has to be perfect. So it's better to import that in. Right. But everything else, I fill in the boxes, I fill in the commission at 6%. I have it all filled in, and then it's ready to go. Again, what's my thing? I am walking out there with a signed listing. Just saying. All the addenda too. So you'll have the transaction broker. You'll also, if there's an HOA, have the HOA filled out as well. It's good to know. I like to get from the seller exactly what they're paying. There are some communities I know exactly what they are, the master per quarter. Just everybody knows that the HOA disclosure is for the master association only, correct? Why we do that, I don't know, but I don't like that. I wish there was something in writing that also had the condo fees, but it's not. It's just for HOA. If there is a food and beverage minimum, I put it on there too, because that is for the master as far as I'm concerned. If there's a one-time transfer fee or master club fee, I put that on that form as well. So then the only thing missing is a condo fee. Makes sense? And again, all filled out, preparation, because you can always change it if you need to. And then when we get into the seller interview and going over the paperwork, then we'll go into that a little bit more. Again, pretty straightforward, right? Just
What form you use for that one?
it's the HOA disclosure. Mm-hmm. Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Okay.
So since you're leaving the prize empty, would you, and you want it signed before you leave, how would you put the price in there?
I write the price in there,
Write it
and
in
then remember now, if you make any changes, they have to initial it and date it, and they're happy to do that. I also don't put a commencement date in there or a termination date. I do it right there on the spot. So, now I'm ready for preparation. I've got my forms, I've got my seller's thing. I kind of grab one of these. If you don't have one of these, and you don't have to have one of these, but this is great because I can keep everything together. This is my portfolio. And everything goes right on top of here. This is my notepad for when I go through the house. And then I also have, in case they're interested, some of the brochures that I have just to go along with my marketing plan. So then we've got the appointment, it's set, ready to show up. Okay, I'm retired military. If you are late on my time, that ticks me off. I mean, I just can't stand people being late. I mean, I know traffic happens, prepare for that. It's better to be a little early than late. If you're way early, drive around the neighborhood, see what's going on, locate, know exactly where the amenities are. Take a look at what signs are in there. Do they have a certain type of sign that they require in that neighborhood? Say, oh yeah, this one down the street 2 blocks over. It's great, you know, I see it's new construction. This community is gentrifying. It's really great. Know the community. It's great to do your research if you haven't already. And then show up about 5 minutes early. Dress appropriately. Please do not show up in shorts and flip-flops. I mean, you know, even if you know, and a lot of this is common sense, even if you know the person, you know, I like to be professional because again, there's no guarantee that you're going to get that. They might, there are 1,000 agents in Naples. So just keep that in mind. Also drive a clean car. Again, all this is common sense so far. Drive a clean car because they may walk you out. And if you know, it's dirty, it's, you know, everything is done, or they see that you've got bags in your car, that could change. That could change things as well. Very, very simple. And it seems very simple, but it is stuff that sticks out in people's minds from doing this in 20 years. So confidence. People, you know, if you haven't gone on your first listing appointment, you know, it's like this, you know, it's okay. Take that deep breath. They're only people. Okay, they're only people. Walk in like you own the place. All right. So you come in, got all my stuff, and then knock on the door. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Karin.
Hi, you're Trish.
Nice to meet you, Trish. Thanks so much for having me. If you don't mind, can I just put my stuff down and you walk into the desk? Sure. Okay, great. And usually the seller will start that. You know, they go, what do you want? I said, if I can put my stuff down, we walk into the house because I want you to tell me about your home. Tell me about your updates. You know, tell me about anything you've added, things that were here. And take tons of notes. I keep 2 sides. This is one that I just did day before yesterday on a $2.4 million home. Okay. I have my left side, all the upgrades, all the things that I see that I'm going to put in that listing. Plantation shutters, travertine, upgraded, you know, Viking appliances, whatever, engineered flooring, impact windows. Then on the right side, I'm gonna put, okay, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, there's a stain up there. Was that a previous leak? Is that a current leak? You know, what's going? Things in my mind that could be an issue, not cosmetic, but an issue. Is there a roof leak? Do I see water damage down here? Does it need to be staged? You know, is it real cluttery? All, you know, just kind of things. A lot of that now I'm just putting my mind to address later. And then that way, when we sit down with the seller interview, we'll go over all this stuff. But let them talk. Because them talking, if you didn't get it off of this step 1, you know, like I had one the other day that said, you know, I'm sorry, my mother-in-law is passing away. So we want to sell, you know, we're not moving down here. That gives you kind of their motivation. All right. So you've got all those answers sort of going on. But they'll say, yeah, you know, I added this and, you know, I did this. This was the original house. And just get as much information as you can about, you know, about upgrades. I put the pool in, you know, it cost me $150,000, you know, and it's the best pool in the neighborhood, all of that kind of stuff. So that is also a fact finding. So all this is coming together. And then, so we've gone through that. Then we sit down. Here comes the seller interview. All right, this is when I say, okay, Trish. So you're selling, you wanna sell, just talk to them just like it's a normal thing. So why are you selling? Why are you moving?
We're gonna move closer to family.
Good, where's that?
Montana.
Oh, nice, nice. Getting out of the heat, huh? Yeah. What's your time frame? Is there a certain time you have to move?
I'd say within the next 6 months to a year.
All right. And, so.
We can move sooner, but, you know, we do have the flexibility, but it sounds great.
Perfect. All right, and then now, you're just, once you started going to go to Montana. So you wouldn't need the lease back on it. You plan to sell it furnished or unfurnished?
We're still in talks about that, but, you know, that could be an either or situation for us.
Yeah, then we can work that out. We can work around that, no problem. And then how about, and then, okay, how about, is there a certain amount that you have to get out of this to move on?
We don't owe a whole lot left in the mortgage,
Okay.
so, you know, I mean, the prices being a little outrageous right now, obviously we're gonna get the most possible can.
Right.
But it's, you know, we want you to kind of let us know if you're.
Yeah, absolutely. My job is to get you the most money and, you know, it will sell on the market there. Do you have a price in your mind based on the concept?
You know, I think we're around 900. Okay. All right, good, yeah. We try not to listen to these people too much.
Yep. Yep.
They'll tell you
It's
one
way too
thing.
easy.
Yeah.
That is not how it's.
Exactly. But, you know, if you're guiding the interview and then let them talk and everything, it's kind of segueing into the next thing. So at that point, so all right, so you think it's at 900, all right. I go in, when I'm doing my comps, I kind of go in with sort of a sight unseen idea of where I think it's going to lie. And sometimes after I see the house, I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, we're actually gonna go up here a little bit. Or we'll be like, come on here a little bit. And just be very frank, just, you know, just say, okay, so let's go over the comps. And that's when I pull out, all right, let's break it down. You've seen the comps. This is what is active in your neighborhood. This is your competition, okay? And you lie about right here. Agreed? Yeah, okay, with, you know, with bedrooms, all that stuff. And then now, that's your competition as it stands right now in this community. Now let's go to what's pending and sold. So you can see, I mean, prices have risen. This is where you know, this is where it's pending, this is where it's sold. And they're selling for pretty much what they're listed for, or they're about, you know, 5% less. So that's where we have to be competitive. All right, so let's take it one step further. Price per square foot in this community is $497 or whatever, and that's relative, but times that, and we're kind of at a base right here. Then we look at, you know, fixtures, additions, all that kind of stuff. All right, don't give them a price yet. Don't give them a price yet. We want to try to let them make the price for you where you think it should be. If that makes sense. So then that's your competition here. So let's look in your geo area. All right, because guess what? That's competition too. I live in Wilshire Lakes. You know, we've got a couple really nice communities right around there. So if this one's too high, they might go to this community. Fees are about the same, all of that. Look in that geo area too, and sit down and discuss that. Let them look at that as well. You know, and I, on my comps, if it's a single family house, I put whether it has a pool, a spa, not, is all that factors in. How many bedrooms, you know, this one is, you know, because I'm telling you, that person has done their research in their neighborhood. They know that this one sold for 2 million and this one sold for 1.5 and that one was over the top. I was at a party there, you know, I was there, you know, there's dog hair all over, you know, so they know. So you need to match that. You need to be ready for that. And I spend a lot of time preparing for these listings and it pays off. Okay. So we sit down, so we know the average price per square foot. Now this is what you have in in your geo area. So you've got some competition there. And what you have that they don't is this. Your fees are a little less, what have you. But so you want to set the expectation for pricing very well. You don't want to be the highest one in there. We're gonna have some sellers that they want to be the highest one in there and they don't care. Their motivation, motivation is key. They don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it sells. All right, that's when that whistle goes off in your head. Okay, you don't care if it sells, but do I want to sit on an overpriced listing? It is okay to tell them I am not your broker. I want to be broker number 2 in that point. Okay, so just remember, you don't have to take that listing if it's going to drag you down to be an overpriced listing that you're paying all this money for, then they get mad at you and blame it on you. So you try to get them to your way of thinking that, hey, the comps are what the comps are. You're pigeonholing yourself into a cash buyer, because if you get a finance buyer or buyer that's financing, this is what the appraiser is going to look at. Not that you're the highest. Make sense? So
How does that conversation go if you decide
that you're not
they're just tire kicking and?
yeah, and you know what, and that's it. So I'm still very nice, always be professional. And because again, when they do find an agent that's willing to go ahead and sit on an overpriced listing, that's like 500,000 overpriced, you want to be that agent that they call back to the fact that you were right. So, I'll say, okay, well, we've looked at the comps. I would love to be able to get that price for you. I would love to. Unfortunately, I'm a realtor, not a magician, and I would love to. If you are stuck on that price, I don't want to disappoint you. I've been doing this for 20 years. I know where it should be. Maybe somebody can get that. I can't. So I don't think I am the realtor for you. But if it doesn't, if you choose somebody else and if it doesn't work out, by all means, give me a call back and I would love to work with you. But I'm not your realtor. Unfortunately, I just don't think this is a good fit. 9 times out of 10, they call me back the next day.
Okay.
They go, okay, we thought about it. So yeah, it's being very nice and because you don't want to burn bridges. You really don't. You want them to remember you to stand out. Okay. But confidence again, and giving that, staying calm, professional, choose your words, don't offend. Just be very specific. I am the expert in this community. I am the expert. I know how to get this done. Whether you feel it in your head or not, you are, okay? You are. I'm 4'11". I always think I'm 6'2". I don't know what everybody else sees, but that's just me.
My mom's 4'11" too.
I love
She's
her.
like, I'm 5 feet. Like,
Yeah.
She tries to get there.
Yeah, I wear heels. Yeah, and actually when I go for my physical, I think I keep losing a 1/4 inch and that's not good. So it says 6'2", I'm 6'1". So that's where we come to pricing. All right, and then typically, we get the agreements, but again, if it comes to the point where, I wish I could help you, but I'm just not, I'm just a filter, and then sometimes I don't call you back and it's okay. It's your business, run it as a business. Okay, and sometimes it's appropriate to say no. Okay. All right, so I want to come back to this form. This is excellent. Before you give them not the kiss of death. Okay, where this is not going to work for me. This form is excellent. If you don't have this, I want to give this to you. Okay. When it comes to pricing, there are 3 outcomes. All right. When you list it, the property receives little action, little to no showings. What's that mean? That can only mean one thing. The market is rejecting the property based on price. Buyers and other agents recognize value when they see it. And if they feel the property does not represent a good value, they will not visit the property. Okay, so there are times that a seller is adamant on this price. And sometimes, and I've done this, I'll be like, okay, let's do this. This is again, before we give the kiss off. That's all right, how about this? Let me compromise with you. Let's try it at your price for 2 weeks. 14 days. If we're not getting any showings, if we're not getting any, I mean, it is just dead. Then you have to agree to reduce the price to where it should be. Or to, and again, this world is negotiation. It's all negotiation. And they'll be like, well, I'm like, that is my caveat. If you want to try it, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to float at this price. But you have to agree to an appropriate price reduction within 14 days in writing. And they're like, okay, fine, no problem. And I put that on that notes line in the listing agreement. Okay, because remember, where we come from, if it's not written, it didn't happen. Okay, that's why inventories are so appropriate.
You put in the listing agreement.
I put it on the listing agreement. Oh, yeah, and I have them initial it and date it.
I had it verbally done, but that's better.
Verbal,
Right.
verbal, you know what? I'm actually Jennifer Aniston, do you believe that?
Yeah.
Verbal doesn't mean anything, okay?
Yes.
So what's gonna happen? So if that's the case, and this form says this, and you're gonna get your seller to sign this, and I apologize, I should have had it up here. Then you're gonna reposition the bait, all right? You're going to have a large price reduction. Okay. All right, number 2. If the property has showings but no offers, what does that mean? Yep, in other words, the property is a bridesmaid but never the bride. I just use that line with one of my sellers. This is better than the first outcome, yet is still frustrating for the seller. In this case, a price is close enough to market value to attract a showing, yet still too high relative to competing homes to motivate the buyer to act. So what do? We reposition the bait again with a smaller price reduction. Okay.
If a home is overpriced,
Yep.
what percentage would you include?
It depends. It depends. We try, like if they are really out of the ballpark, that's when I walk away. Okay, if they're close and they're about, I don't really deal with percentages because it's going to be, because those comps could change daily based on what is selling and everything like that. It is a constant thing of looking at what's going on in the market at that time. So like if we see that the sweet spot is like 1.1 million for, and they're at like 1.275, might want to make that big price reduction. So about 1.175 or something like that to give some negotiation. Does that make sense? It's just going to depend. If they want to be at 800 and the community is at 600, that's 300,000 apart. I'm not going to take that risk. If they will not reduce it. Does that make sense? So it's just going to, and really, really keep an eye on the stats, keep the eye on the comps because they change and it matters. And you'll see what's selling and what price it's selling for. And I don't think I answered your question because I don't deal with percentages really. Does that make sense? It just depends on how far they are away from where it should be.
With us being a little bit in a buyer's market, not a really strong buyer's market, but entering a buyer's market, how many showings per day or per week do you think is?
If, you know what, if you are priced well and just a little bit under market value, while you still might not get multiple offers, you're going to get showings because they're going to see the value of that.
Like 2 or 3 a day, maybe
2 to 3 could be 5 a day, you know, like Forest Glen. So I have a lot of listings in there typically. And even in the summertime, we used to take them off the market because it was a bundled golf community and there was just no one around. Now you can't keep them on the market. And so we're having, showings just all the time. We could have as many as 2 showings in a day, 4 or 5 showings, it just depends.
Yeah.
I think 2 showings a day is great. All it takes is 1 buyer.
Yeah.
And that's why pricing correctly is so important. So important. Because if you're hearing crickets, you know there's a problem.
Yeah, and then, you know, we know that I put the, that in there, that we're gonna lower the price of 14 days, that in the group price.
Uh-huh.
And then, we didn't have lists, we didn't have showings or offers. We were having about a showing at least a day, but no offers, so he refused to lower it, and then, you know, had an open house and was able to really encourage a buyer to send me an offer.
Right,
you know?
right, but you're
So,
still having showings, so
yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So people are willing to, okay, maybe step on that price a little bit. That's good, it's when you have two showings, and you know something's gonna be done.
Yeah.
If you go outside level at all, because I know this. Maybe, and you're over 2 million in condos, are you still looking at 2 showings a day?
I mean, it depends on the pricing too, you know, I mean, when you're $2 million condos, I mean, they were going off the shelves, you know. But yeah, I mean, you may or may not have that. And also time of year sometimes, because we are still seasonal sometimes in that market. We agree. Yeah.
So
So,
this time of year,
yeah, yeah.
you would probably be a little aggressive on a daily basis.
If you're having a showing today, showing every other day, you're getting calls for showings, then yeah, I think you're okay. It's when you're getting no action whatsoever, no calls, nothing. And does everybody use reverse prospecting on MLS? Okay, you'll see how many people, reverse prospecting is a great tool. It's that you'll see how many agents have sent it out to their customers. And then you can also see if any of their customers hearted it or put a light bulb on it and all that kind of stuff. So it's getting some traction. Some people just aren't in town now. You know, some people won't rely on the FaceTime showings like they used to. You know, so it just depends. And that's when I would reach out to those agents on reverse prospect and say, hey, you're a person put a heart on this. Are you interested in doing showing? Well, they won't be in town until, you know, 2 months from now, and they're hoping it's still gonna be available. So that's where that seasonality kind of comes in. It doesn't mean that people don't want it. It means that the buyers just aren't here yet. Make sense? Does everybody understand that? Okay. So it's kind of a little bit of a dance there.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. All right. Third one, the property sells. All right. If we hit the market just right, we may be fortunate enough to have an offer right away. A quick offer does not necessarily mean that we're underpriced. It means that we're fortunate to hit the market at the perfect time. It's like catching a fish on the first cast. It happens, but that does not mean it will not, that it will happen again and again. Do I have permission to sell your home quickly? This, if you send a pre-listing package, this should be part of it, because this is gonna preempt your pricing conversation, and it's gonna shorten it quite a bit in most cases, unless it's an unrealistic seller. Okay, if you don't have this, we'll get that to you. All right, so now we've agreed on pricing. When do they want it on the market? Well, as soon as possible. Okay, this is where you start to really stand out. Okay, look, I can have you on the market as soon as, you know, next week. I try to put all my listings on the market first thing on Friday mornings. So that allows me time to get the photographer in there, go through the photos. I also do the write-up. And I also send the write-up and the photos. You don't want to send all your photos to your seller. Once you put it in MLS, send a copy of the listing with photos to your seller. And I tell them, hey, this is a collaborative effort. I'm going to send you a copy of the listing, the photos. If there's something that I missed, something you don't like, something that you want added or deleted, or you want pictures of a different thing, let me know. I'm not always going to agree with it, but let me know, and I'll tell you why I did this. And it's great. They're like, oh man, this is great. Or hey, can you add? I forgot to tell you about impact windows. Something I would know anyway. But so it's a collaborative effort, and they see that you were working with them.
So do you send just the description?
Nope, I send, like, when you have an incoming listing, it's incoming. Yeah, I write it up, and when I am completely finished with it, I save it as a PDF. Realtor report with photos, save it as a PDF, and I email it to them before it even goes live. Because I am a perfectionist, I like everything perfect, and I want my seller on board from the get-go. That is setting expectations. Setting expectations is huge. Okay, so as we're at pricing, now here comes the thing. This is where you really, last step, getting the listing signed. So we've got pricing, and I'm like, okay, so this is how I work. If you haven't read it in the pre-listing package. So we've got the price, and I'll be going over a listing agreement with you in a few minutes. But what's going to happen is that I will have my photographer in here. We'll have you on the market by the end of the week. It goes live first thing on Friday mornings. And then we will do, are you okay with open houses? Yep, no problem. Or if you don't want open houses, then that's fine, but you have to ask that. How much time do you need for showings? Because you're, and again, setting that expectation. It's expected that the seller will not be here for showings. So how much lead time do you need? 2 hours? 24 hours? We can work with whatever you need. Whatever works for you. And we'll put all that in a listing. Also, we're selling the turnkey furniture. Are there any exclusions? Make sure that, anything that's excluded. You guys know that the TVs, like in turnkey, the TVs go, TVs stay unless they're excluded. If you're selling unfurnished, these brackets are attached to the wall. People forget about this. The brackets do not go with the seller unless it's excluded. Anything attached, lighting fixtures, draperies, and you probably don't know, but brackets, a lot of people forget about that. Attached speakers, attached, security things. Make sure you have this conversation with your seller right there, because it's things that they don't realize. Ring doorbell. Do you plan to take your ring with you? Plan to take your ring with you? Or is it staying? And it's stuff as, as you're walking around, you can also point those in, okay? So know your contract, know your sales contract, know your listing agreement contract. That way you can address these things all at the meeting. That's what stands out. So they're not going to be guessing, okay, well, what's the next step? You always want to be one step ahead. Okay. And explain the process. So I'm very hands-on, very hands-on. So I tell them, hey, here's the process. So I am here when the photographer is here. We come a little early, because I am notoriously early. I'm sorry, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I say I'm gonna be here at 1, I'm gonna be here at least 10 minutes before, just give you a heads up. So, we'll move rugs, we'll move some flowers. I have the photography guidelines in there for you, but we're here just in case you forgot anything we move, we'll put back. Now, again, we have a lot of absentee owners. So you're gonna be doing this stuff for them. We just did that. We just packed up a seller in their other listing and mailed 7 boxes off to them. And then I took all the fake IV out and put it all, either in the trash can or the closet to get the whole thing set up. So go above and beyond. Very hands-on, will help you get, decluttered, what have you. And if it needs to be staged, don't be afraid to say, hey, I think it needs to be staged. For just a little bit, be there I don't have that staging eye. I wish I did, but I don't. So I have a stager that I work with that can come in, and she could just do minimal if necessary, just maybe change bedspreads, whatever. You have one time to make that first impression. Okay. All this is at this listing. So we've established that, yes, we're going to do open houses, how much time they need for showings. All this is going to go into the listing. I also let them know, I typically don't push a listing off as a company unless I'm in the $2 million or $3 million range, because I don't want to lose a showing in case I am busy doing something else. So I kind of do a compromise. I just took a $2.4 million listing yesterday. Then I looked at a listing off as a company, but I also made the caveat, I'm also going to put a lockbox on there because I want to know everybody that comes in and out. And I said, if by chance I cannot make that appointment, I don't want to miss out on an appointment. So that is when they will come in. Is it okay with you? Absolutely, 100%. Okay, that's a good compromise. Some people are like, no, I don't want anybody in my house except for you. Okay, well, then you're gonna have to make arrangements for that. Okay, make the seller happy with that. Usually they're good with the compromise, because I know everybody that's going in and out of here, if they leave the door unlocked, I know exactly who to go to.
Would the cost for the staging be on you, the builder?
That depends. It depends on the agent. It depends on how you do it. A lot of agents put it on the seller, or a lot of agents cover it with the agreement that the seller will reimburse them. You know, another way, I mean, it's got to go to there are ways to do that. Typically, I do that as a cost of doing business, as a
I
cost
know
of
we
sale.
pay for pictures, I just.
Yeah, I do that. Now, if it's a $3 million home that needs it, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Then that's when we have a negotiation with the seller. I mean, if that's the case, then that's the case. But no, a lot of times I typically do it, and I'll partially stage it unless it really needs it. So but great question. And then, yeah, and then you sit down and you have all those specifics handed out, making sure you set the tone. We don't want sellers here during the, buyer showing, because this is the buyer's time. They don't want to feel any pressure. It's like, when you're shopping, how are you doing? Can I help you? And then the sellers will be like, you should did this. Yeah, and I did. No. Then the seller go take a walk, take your dog out for a walk, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Go. Yeah. Same with open houses, let them go out, but it's also, and what might seem obvious to a seller is not always obvious to a seller. So this is the way this game, works. How it's gonna work. Also, an offer. When we get an offer, one of the best tools that you have is called a seller niche. This is the bottom line of everything. I typically bring this out when we agreed on a price. I'm coming here, and this is the price sight unseen that I came with. This simple form lays out the bottom line for them, what their closing costs are. For a seller, your biggest costs are going to be what? Commission, right? Doc stamps, correct, which is taxes on the deed. You'll have to find out what your closing fee is for any attorney that you use, and then insert that in there. If they have estoppels, if they're in a gated neighborhood, they may have 1 or 2 estoppels. Does everybody know what an estoppel is? Okay, the estoppel is when somebody is selling and there's an HOA, the closing attorney or closing agent will request information from the HOA that says, hey, does the seller owe any, back HOA dues or assessments? Are they up to date? All of that kind of stuff, and how much a buyer is going to have to pay in. So it's kind of, even though it says an MLS, this is coming straight from the HOA, so the closing agent knows exactly how much of a transfer fee, needs to be paid, or if they have to get money from closing from the seller. Make sense? They run about 200 to 250 a piece. Okay. And then if there might be an HOA proration. Let's say we close, you pay quarterly to the HOA. Let's say we close in the middle of September or end of September. They've already paid their quarterly fees, so they're going to get a month and a half back, if that makes sense. And you can estimate that.
Do you calculate that?
I do. I put it on mine, yeah. And I just kind of give it, that's going to be in a parenthesis, so that's going to be a credit.
Right.
Okay. And again, this is an estimate, but this is pretty darn close. Okay. And then, because this is as a seller, what their typical fees are. They might have like a courier fee or something like that. They might have a mobile notary fee if they're closing remotely.
Is there a certain website or program you recommend for that sheet that you use, that you have your own logo?
That might be the-
Yeah, it's smart.
But this was, who gave me this? My previous company that I was with for many years, the in-house title company did this for us. So we may be able to get, our title company to do this.
hesitant to use one, because I don't wanna plug in some wrong numbers and then not know that they're wrong, so.
That's
Yeah.
how I.
it's too late.
Well, see, the nice thing with this automated is that the commission, it has like, it has, some, what do you call it? No, it has like it has things built in. It has things, yeah, calculation built in for the commission. So I can change this commission from 6% to 5%, and it's gonna put it in there automatically. Also, with the doc stamps, that's also calculation in there also. The doc stamps are based off of the sale price. So you can change this, just put the sales price in there. Those two things you can't get wrong because it's automatically in there. And again, proration, you pay 3 months, you times it by 3 months and that person, if your attorney charges $8.95 or $5.95, put that in there. So these are very basic, but for a seller, these are pretty darn close. And then the last one in there, taxes. Okay, you go on Collier County or Lee County, you know what their 2022 tax rate was? Going to close at the end of September, they're going to owe 9 months of taxes. Take 2022 taxes, divide it by 12, times it by 9 months. See, this is almost foolproof. It's an estimate, but it's a great estimate. And so here's the bottom line. Okay, so at 2.495, this is what you're gonna walk away with. There's a spot on here for current mortgage balance. I don't care. I don't need to know that. I'm not getting that too in depth. This is what you're gonna walk away from if you owe a mortgage, subtract your mortgage amount. So very, very, very simple. But that is your killer weapon, in my opinion. Okay, other than your confidence, you're dressing well, and you're speaking well, and you're able to answer all the questions. And again, if there is a question you do not know, don't be afraid to say, you know what, that's a good question. I will get that answered for you. Okay.
I'm sorry, one question. So you present the net sheet with at each offer? Or?
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
And what happens, so this net sheet I present when we've come to an agreement. Okay, I came here, sight unseen, this is what I think, and we agree on this price. Then this is the bottom line. This is what your cost as a seller is now. Anytime we get an offer, because this is going to vary a little bit, like
Right.
tax wise on closing date. I'm going to give you one of these along with the offer, and I do that. When I send the offer to a seller, I do this based on that price and based on that closing date. And they have it right there, okay? So they can see, because a lot of times it's just the bottom line. How much am I gonna walk away? I don't care about closing date or whatever. Yeah, so that's that. All right, so we've gone all that. We know we're gonna do open houses. We know we're gonna have a photographer come, everything like that. All right, so you ready to sign? Yep, absolutely. So I go with this. That's why it's good if you send a pre-listing package that they know what they're signing. So let's say I'm going the next day. And they go, okay, usually it's just give me the clip notes, because you always want to give them a copy of this. Okay, yep, commission is 6%. Sometimes, if it's higher, they're always gonna do that. Well, this is what you're getting for that. And then when they see what you're getting, especially if I'm gonna do the staging. Yeah, it's usually a done deal. And it's your business. If you want to negotiate your commission, negotiate your commission. Totally up to you. Whether I do 6%, 5%, I want my customers happy. And if I say I'm gonna be hands-on and I'm gonna be there for everything from the inspection to everything, I'm there. So it's basically that. That's the stuff that stands out. Then have them sign it, say, I will get you a copy of this. And I will let you know everything. I'll let you know when the photographer's gonna be there, we're gonna be there, all of that kind of stuff. And then you walk out with your signed listing. That make sense? Any questions?
Would you kind of navigate that conversation by saying, if I also sell the property as a dual, I'll list it as this, to kind of soften the 6%?
I do that, and actually, I do. That is, I have that written on page 5 of the listing agreement. And that kind of, seals the deal, is that I put it right there, is that if listing agents, Karin Thomas or Nick Arns, procures the buyer, commission will be reduced to 5%. Please don't use the word buy. I don't even want to put that out in the universe. Okay, because then you're gonna do it for 1%. That's not good. Okay, it's always do to, all right? If I procure the buyer, then I would reduce the commission to 5%.
Do you get the question if they get the buyer? Do you get that question or not?
We have a listing agreement.
Right.
So even if you get the buyer, if they get the buyer, and that's happened to me, believe it or not. Yeah, they were out there and this buyer came up, they saw it and my seller went out.
It's not like, oh,
And she said, oh, come on in. Come on in." And she called me right away. She goes, Karen, I've got a buyer that just walked in. I'm like, I'm right there. I'm coming. I'm on my way. And I turned around and I went and this was a long time seller of mine. I've done a lot of things, but that buyer and I now are still friends, but that buyer had an agent. But that buyer is friends. So yeah, we did the deal and it worked out. So yes. So, but to answer that question is that yes, if they find a buyer, we have a listing agreement until it expires. So you still run that, you still run it like you had the buyer. And then guess what? Then you get both sides. That's not a bad gig. So tell your sellers to be on the lookout. Look out their window. If they see anybody spinning around, run out and get them if you're not there. Okay. And there you go. But that's basically my presentation. And I have to say this, I've been doing this for years, but it's the first time I really ever taught this to somebody other than a mentee. But any questions? Anything that you do or you have done that you think might put you, maybe ahead of the game? Hard to say, right? So when I'm leaving, I try to give them a nice little gift or something to thank them for their time, even if I have to walk away from the listing, or let's say I didn't get the listing. Okay, they want to do other people. Okay, that's fine. So I still give them a thank you gift for their time and a little. I like to leave on a funny note. So I'll be like, and I have one for each person that's going to be there. So I had these made up years ago, and I got to tell you, this picture was 2 years ago. I'm gonna give this out until I'm 80. It will never get any better than this. But tell me, you see this? That is doctor. So I tell them, I'm like, you know what? I appreciate your time. I'm gonna give you a bag. And that's when I said, you know what, this was only 2 years old. And then you leave them, with a good, funny, no, I mean, that's a true story, but yeah, that's what I do. And then thank them for their time. And I even do after that, whether I got the listing, didn't, whatever, I'll send them a note and say, thank you for your time. That's it. That's all it is. A lot of common sense. I cannot say more than be over prepared. Be ready for that analytical, be ready for that, and if you don't come, fair enough.
If it's a friend or relative,
Even
you'll go in just like you don't even know them, and it's a total professional.
Yes.
Thing.
Yes, and give them the same professional courtesy. That's where you draw the line between friend, acquaintance, and seller. Because sometimes they'll try to take advantage of you, and that's where you have to put your foot down and say, let's talk about this. Fair enough. Good class? Good. Thank you. My office is right here across the hall. I am not in here a lot, but if you have any questions at all, if you want some clarification on anything, I can help you with whatever. I've been, again, here for 20 years, and I love I've been with KW for now about 2.5. I was with another Fifth Avenue office before that, but I love this culture. I think you guys have joined a great office, and yeah, we're all here to help each other. So, okay, great. Thank you so much for coming today. So happy to have you. Anybody want a bag?